This is Heart to Heart with Sibongile Mofokeng on Radio Pulpit. Heart to Heart.
iRadio Pulpit 657 AM umhlobo kwabo banhliziyo zidakumbileyo simamele kwi-app okanye utyelele uradiopulpit.co.za.
You're listening to Radio Pulpit.
Love more. Radio Pulpit 657 AM, your daily companion.
Hi, Bo, Sibongile. You are listening to Radio Pulpit, your daily companion, 657 AM. This is where you at. It's a beautiful Tuesday, and God is so good. I just want to remind the family again. All right, before I remind the family again, give you the sounds of Pearl Ngobeni and the song Fill Me, Lord, with Your Spirit, reminding me of some of the songs that you would hear from Mbongeni Ngema's plays, like Oh Sarafina. I've already even allocated the theme for that one, a scene on one of these theater plays. And before that, it was Vashon Michelle Joy, and that's how we said goodbye to Patricia Komani, our text specialist. And I just want to remind the family that my family from tomorrow as Radio Pulpit, we will be collecting sports clothes and sports equipment. We are asking you to donate your new or used sports clothes and equipment as well. And you can drop them here by our Radio Pulpit station at our headquarters at 42 Yakuaba Street in Pretoria in Kilna Park. We have good news. You can now donate your new and your old. So if you've had these and you put them aside somewhere and you're like, I don't know who to give these to, your sports equipment, your sports clothes, and you can give these, especially your children's sports clothes and equipment, and make a difference in a young person's life. But please give them a little wash before they meet their new owners. Make sure that you put them in the washing tub or in the machine and wash them. We especially need sports clothes for and equipment for athletics, for soccer, for cricket, for hockey, for netball and rugby. For more information, you can go to our website, radiopulpit.co.za, or to talk to us. You can go or send us an email on gospel@radiopulpit.co.za. Do you remember that we're starting to collect from tomorrow up until the 22nd of February? It's nearly in the studio. I'm excited. The last time I was with them, they were in another show, but they're joining me in another show today on Heart to Heart. And I'm talking I'm talking about Malaika Angel. Joseph Peters, together with her husband, Dabasias. Am I saying it correctly? Dabasias.
Almost there, Dabasias.
Sibongile, Sibongile.
Almost there.
Okay, what does Dabasias mean?
Dabasias.
Mine. What does mine mean?
You will let us know on the next show.
Dabasias, John Peters. Welcome, guys. How are you?
You're good. How
We
are
are
you?
so good. We're happy to be back here on
Yeah.
radio.
How has it been ever since you left here? We were so excited, elated. We were like, wow, they should come back again.
It's been great. We got a lot of DMs, people asking us how to apply to work on
Yeah,
campus.
yeah.
So yeah, we got a lot of people, and we'll just keep giving out informations on our social medias and TikTok and Instagram.
I think you should open a consultancy on that. Okay, and then you pay text to me because I just can't do that.
Hey, we are busy traveling. Where are we gonna get that time?
Oh, there are social media platforms where you can just do what you're doing right now and just
Yeah.
go live with a person like, and that will be 100 rent, okay.
That is a good idea.
You can open a consultancy on that. But today we're talking about how God brought you to get there.
Yes.
The
Yes.
long-awaited story.
Okay, let's start with the gentleman.
No, let's
because
start with me.
no, why with
Please.
you?
I
Ladies first.
Ladies first, please.
All right, but it's a Robin game because
No,
men are the ones that go and say.
no, he'll
I
say his
think.
part.
So you last time when you were with us, Malaika, you spoke about how you prayed for everything in your
Yes.
life, and you said, "I haven't prayed about him. He's the result of my prayers."
Yes.
ahead. Tell us about
Okay,
that.
so that's from right in the beginning. Like I've been I prayed for my marriage for over 15 years.
How old were you?
I was around 15 or 13, somewhere there. I
What?
was a teenager, yes. And I remember at home we used to have these 4 a.m. prayers,
Uh-huh.
and we would pray. We were staying with a couple of my cousins that time, so my parents forced us that we have to wake up every morning, and every day my prayer request was the same. So they'll ask me, "What are you praying for today?"
Yeah.
And I'll be like, "Oh, I want to pray for my husband, and I want him to come from Canada because I'm going to live in Canada."
So this
I
is
said,
Okay.
yeah.
Wait,
I'm
wait, 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 wait.
telling you,
I'm getting goosebumps now.
I'm telling
I'm
you,
getting goosebumps
This
now.
is a true story. We were with
true story.
her parents the other day, and we just spoke about it again. But it always comes up, and she literally prayed for somebody from Canada when she was
Where did it come
13
from?
or 15
No,
years old.
I
The
just always wanted.
Dabasias, I'm asking myself, where did it come from?
No, sometimes you need to know what you want, and God will coordinate
No,
you.
no,
Like
no. But you were
because
15,
I
Canada.
was,
But how
yeah.
Canada?
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. I used to watch like TV, obviously. So
Okay.
I just saw how interracial. I always knew I was gonna be in an interracial couple. I just didn't know like what type of relationship, what race. But I was just like, I want to live in Canada and I want to be married to somebody who's from there.
I
And
love your God.
that was before I even traveled. That was before I even moved overseas. This was when I was just like faithful and I was praying. And my parents every day they're like, "So what is your prayer request today?"
Mm.
And I'm like, "I'm praying for my husband and I'm praying for my marriage." And it was so crazy because everybody else that I prayed with that time got married before me, like maybe 10
Funny
years
enough,
ago.
all of her cousins got married before
They
her.
got married
Do you
before
see how
me.
puzzled I am?
And I was like, God, did you forget about me? You know?
They even made jokes about it, at some
So
point.
Yeah,
where's
because
the
I
guy
was,
from Canada?
Mm.
yeah, like, oh, you've been praying. So it had to take long because God was busy with me. He was preparing me because sometimes we pray for something, but we really don't know like the magnitude, like how big. Do you even know what you're asking God for? That's why I'm so grateful because it had to happen around this time. But I prayed year in, year
Did
out.
you understand what you were praying about at that time, or it was just, I want this?
I
That's
didn't
all.
understand. I just wanted it. I just felt like, oh my gosh, I want that life, looking at people on TV. And I was just like, I wanna be in an interracial relationship. I wanna live in Canada. And that was before I went on working abroad.
Mm.
Like I was
You
still
were
in
not
high
even
school.
in tertiary.
I was in high school. And they knew, even my high school friends
Didn't
knew
it
I was
worry your
praying every
parents?
day. No, the thing is, I admired my
They did
parents'
question.
marriage.
They did question.
They questioned, but my parents have a really good relationship, a good marriage. So I always wanted what they had.
Okay.
So for me, marriage was
And
something
you're
I
the
wanted.
only child.
I'm the only child, and
Yes.
I looked up to their relationship like all my life. So I knew that I want to get married. Like they still have an admirable marriage. So yeah.
Sure. Debasius,
So that's the testimony, right?
Debasius, your testimony. Did you pray for somebody from South Africa too?
No.
I prayed for someone that was from a Christian family.
Right.
Okay, and when I found out that she was Christian, was years after our friendship, believe it or not. So after we met, when we met, we didn't even talk about religion, and we were friends for the longest time. But just before we started dating, or just after we started dating, shortly after then, is when our beliefs started coming out, and we shared that we were both Christian, and I think that was the moment.
When did you start praying for a partner?
Well,
When you were a little bit older, I guess. Now
yeah, I
you're
mean,
thinking, now I
for
think.
for
Yeah.
me, I eventually we knew, okay, we wanted to get married and so on, but
Yes.
I'm gonna say this was more than what I prayed for. Definitely, my
No.
mother is the prayer warrior in the family, so I'm sure her prayers covered a lot of blessings in my life, and she's one of.
Yeah, our parents, the biggest thing with our parents, they were like, as long as you get a Christian partner, then we'll be more than happy.
All
Because
right.
when I went overseas, they knew right away that this one, we must
She's
just be
coming back with
prepared.
Canada. She's bringing Canada back.
We must just be prepared. We never know.
Yeah, so that was very important for me. What background the girl came
Came
from, and
from, yes.
of course for us, it's we want to make sure that our parents are content.
Did you have a time frame for God?
Uh, for that, no, I didn't.
You're
It's
like
not
at your time.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You, Malaika?
No, I didn't say. I just said I want a husband. I didn't really think it was gonna take so long from the moment I prayed.
Ah,
At some point, I stopped praying. I was just like, God, you do it when you do it. Because at some point, I was like, you know what? I've prayed. If you answer me or you don't answer me, that's up to you. I'm done praying about this. Like, I'm done. So yeah, so I'm just grateful that we get that. But the biggest thing for us was friendship, right? The
Mhm.
biggest thing for us was friendship. We always started as friends, and he would look out for me, I would look out for him, and that was like the biggest thing for us.
We would give each other relationship advice.
Yeah, we would give each other relationship advice. We would give each other tips. If something like he'd see me doing something wrong, he would always reprimand me and say, "No, Chomi, Chomi, that's not how you do it."
This
So
is where I
yeah,
won points with my mother-in-law.
yeah. My mother likes this so much because
Oh,
he was looking out for me, and at that time he was with somebody else, and he's like, "No, don't find yourself doing the wrong things." I was in a moment I was tempted, so
yeah.
he was like, "No, don't find yourself in this." He's just like, "No, stop." And my mother loves that about him. He's like, "You saved my child." He saved my child from the world.
So
Sure.
there was a time where I was very sure, and I said, okay, this is the sign. Is when we were talking one time, and she told me the first time about the parents being pastors, about her father, being a pastor and
Yeah.
them having a church, and I was like very very surprised. I said, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Okay, this is it. This is the one because you want at a certain point you want the right influence surrounding you, and you want the right family, the right mentorship, and everything." So when I found that out, I was very very sure that
It
she
was
was.
interesting because I've never really mentioned it to you because I never really wanted to be boxed like that. I'm a pastor's kid. So I never mentioned it to him because I always knew that, um, I'm going to be judged. But at that moment when you found out, that's when you were like, oh my gosh, this is a plus for me. So yeah.
It was a Thomas Edison moment for me. The light bulb was just like, let's go.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah, so we're so grateful that we found each other like that. That's very special for us. That we are our parents, like you were saying. My father is a pastor. For him, that's a big plus. It's a big plus because that's when he realized, okay, this is definitely the girl I'm going to marry.
Ah, this is my
So the
girl.
purpose, it was God that brought us together.
All right, we're coming back for the purpose because you
Mhm.
just mentioned the word purpose. We are coming
Yes.
back. We are learning now. Many Christians, many people are saying, get married for purpose, not for love.
Yes.
Malaika and Dabasias, are you married for love or for purpose? We're coming
I
back.
think,
We're
yeah.
coming back. This is Pastor K, the late Pastor K, Kalini Kalina, if you please, a garden of love, featuring Mabongi Mabaso.
uzibandakanye nathi ekuguquleni iimpilo zabantu ilizwe liphela apha ku-Radio Pulpit 657 AM.
As easy as the touch of a button. The message of life on 657 AM.
Yeah, on 657 AM, it's all about love, love, love. And we give you the sounds of the late Pastor K, Kanini Kalena, if you please, and the song Garden of Love featuring Mabongi Mabaso. You get a question from our couple in the studio. They are young, they love the Lord, they love each other, and they love what they do as well. So you can ask them questions, or you can just encourage them further, or whatever that the Lord lays in your heart. The numbers that you can dial and gesels met ons in the studio, talk to us in the studio, 012-334-1322, 012-334-1322. Alternatively, we live on Facebook. You can talk to us right there on Facebook. You can send us a WhatsApp or a Telegram on 082 657 2729. It's 082 657 2729. And alternatively, an SMS is also welcome to 37871. Do remember, it only costs you R1.50. So we are still here with Joseph Peters in studio. Do that again. Now, I know that Dabasias mentioned that when he found out that you're a pastor's kid, you're a PK, it was that moment where he said, "This is the one." That said it for him. It was like, "That's her. That's her."
My father-in-law is going to be very proud at this moment.
What about you, Malaika?
Okay, so for me, I always knew that, you know what, I want a man of God because of the relationship that my parents have.
Yeah.
So I always knew that I want a man of God. But when we first met, it's amazing how our story became, because in 2015, we were friends for like 5 years. And in 2015,
The guy was from Canada. Hello. Didn't it go ding, ding, ding,
no,
ding,
I
ding?
was just giving him relationship advice. I was a shoulder to cry on. You
All
know,
right.
those friends. I was the one
We
saying,
were
this
actually,
one is bad for
we
you.
were actually best friends. You know?
Yeah, we're like best friends. And we
Guys,
went,
I don't believe the two of you.
yeah, we went together on one ship. And then when I left to the other company, we still kept touch. I
Okay.
still kept giving him advice about relationships. Like, okay, this one, danger zone. This one, go show me, go show me. So I was, I was that kind of friend. But when we started dating in 2015, oh my gosh, this story always makes me laugh because I literally decided I'm disappearing from this country. I'm going to meet him. I took a risk. He was like, I want to see you. And I'm like, my friend, I have to travel all the
Uh-huh.
way. You know, he's like, don't worry, I want to see you. So we met in Thailand. And at that point, I lied to my family, to everyone.
You did
I was
what?
like, sorry, guys, I'm going on a friendship reunion. Yeah, because I mean, I can't
Well,
tell
you
my
didn't
parents.
lie because we started off as friends.
No,
Yeah.
but they
And
didn't
Well,
know that I'm
which
meeting a
friend?
man.
Yeah, a male friend.
Yeah,
Okay.
so male friend, they didn't know about you back then. All they knew was, okay, I have friends overseas. So I was like, I'm meeting a friend there. And we met
Okay.
in Thailand.
Why did you hide it?
My parents are
Was it
pastors,
the ding ding ding
so they will
moment,
not
kind of?
approve.
Oh, okay.
You cannot, first of all, leave the country and say you're
But
meeting
wait,
another
when he
person.
said, "I want to see you," did it say, "Girl, maybe
No, at that time, I was just like, you know what?
he's a man, I'm a woman"?
He's my friend. I
And
was just hiding behind,
you
no,
know,
he's
I
my
just
friend.
casually said, let's go to Thailand.
Yeah, it's my friend. So, you know what? We will meet, and you know what? We'll meet, and my friend will make sure that everything is smooth. This is somebody I
so
trust.
you didn't want to get into trouble with mom and dad because he's my friend, but he's a he.
Mom and dad, if you're listening, don't get mad
Yeah,
at
but
me.
he's a he.
He's a he.
Okay, all right, continue.
So yeah, we went to Thailand, but then at the time, for me, the most important thing was that I at the time I was just thinking this is just a friendship, you know.
Uh-huh.
Only my cousins knew, and it was our little secret. And
Till
I
today.
remember when they dropped my parents dropped me at the airport. I was like, okay, bye. I'll keep in touch, you know. And at the end of that trip, then that's when I was like, okay, we fell in love from there. And I had to come back home. We were not dating. We were just like, okay, just a friendship trip.
What made you fall in love?
What made me fall in love with him is the fact that this man, you know, he's always been encouraging, he always believes in me, he always makes me dream for big things. You know, I was very small minded before I met him, and he stretched my mind. I mean, my business started off as a mobile spa, and that I didn't have bigger dreams. I just think, okay, from there it's just gonna be mobile, but in a
Mm,
bigger
mm,
area. But
mm,
I never
mm.
thought I would have my own premises, my own business
But now, what made you fall in love
at that moment.
after that trip? Yes, at the end of the trip.
Okay, so okay, here's the story now. For 3 years, 3 years later,
The
after we
story is
didn't meet,
coming out, huh?
yeah.
Yes, I'm
So
glad it is.
here's
It
the
it might
story.
help someone.
Here's the story. So 3 years after we left the ships, you know, I always liked him, but I don't think he always saw me that
Oh,
way. I
okay.
like had like kind of like thinking,
Yes, yes.
but I don't think he saw me that way. But when he realized this is the girl for me, I was already over it. I was like, "Mm-mm, I'm okay. I am
I'll wait
over
for
that.
Canada.
I'm over that. I'm
Yeah,
waiting for my dream."
yes.
And at that point, I was like, at that point, what happened is that I think I was in Thailand first. Before we met, I went to Thailand again with my cousin, and from there, he got my attention. He upgraded. He was upgraded our hotel, and he got my attention. So then from there, I was like, okay, you know what?
I
No
mean, you gotta
problem.
impress.
Dabasias,
You gotta
I was like,
impress.
okay,
Dabasias, did
this
you feel like
man is the
let
one.
me ask Dabasias a question. When you called her and said, "I want to meet you. I want us to meet. Let's meet in Thailand." Did you feel like she's slipping away? Did you realize that she's the one and it seems like she's slipping away at that moment?
No, I didn't really.
You
I
were
mean,
just meeting your friend.
yeah,
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
He was not thinking much into it. So he upgraded me, and that's how he got my attention. And then when we met in Thailand, that's when I was like, okay, let's just go and see if there's something. But
Okay.
I was not really hoping much because we were not in that
So when you
mindset.
came back, he hadn't said a word at that time.
No, he hadn't. He we were just keeping in touch, you know, like
After
friends do.
Thailand.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he was like,
But with you,
at the
the
end of our
fire
trip,
was.
he was like, I wanna marry you. And I was just like, huh?
she didn't believe me.
I didn't believe him. I was just like,
So where did it come from, Dabasias?
I actually, I think, going back a little bit, that trip that we went to Thailand.
Uh-huh.
I was, let's say, I had some questions. I was questioning our future, and I did
So you asked
think,
yourself, maybe I think she's my friend, but maybe she's more.
yeah,
What
sort of.
made you think and start
I
playing
don't
around
know.
and toying around with that kind
I
of an
don't
idea?
know. I think I just wanted to give it a
It was
chance.
good.
Yeah,
The Canadian God
exactly.
coming,
yeah,
the
I
God who answers the prayers.
exactly. So
Yeah.
the way he does things, I mean, it was not planned that way, but it just happened.
Yeah.
It just
yeah.
happened.
It
So
was really just God
mm,
answering my prayer because at the end of the trip, I still didn't believe that he's gonna marry me like he says he's going to marry
Because
me.
he's your friend. He
Yeah,
didn't propose.
but besides that, I knew I had feelings for him at the end of the trip, but I didn't know
So
that
Dabasius
it's
didn't
going to be
propose.
serious. No, he didn't propose.
So
He
should I
just
give him a chance to propose right
no,
now?
he did get a chance later to propose, but at that
I
moment,
did
he
all
did
the
all of it.
proper
I
steps.
got the best proposal. Like you could see it in my TikTok at the best.
So now, with some young people or some people who are falling in love, but they are afraid of it, we are in the month of love.
Yeah.
How do you know that this is the one?
Okay, before I answer that, I forgot to say when after that trip in Thailand, then we met 6 months later in Singapore. When we met in Singapore, I was like, okay, my parents are definitely not going to approve of this. He's like, I want to see you again. And from there on, then we had to involve my parents, and my parents were like, "Mm-mm, we don't believe in funny business. You need to make sure that you pay your duties and respect our culture. So that's the one thing that he had to do. He had to honor culture for me to go see
The
him again.
Lobola and
Yes, we started earlier with the lobola because I wanted to see. He wanted to see me 6 months later, and then 6 months later, when he wanted to see me, my parents were like, "No, we don't believe in that." Because remember, the first time I lied to my parents.
yes.
So second time,
You know,
my
we
parents were
came
like,
No,
"No."
clean.
Muchabo Pakis.
Eh?
Yeah,
They were like,
Yeah.
no.
I had to come
Like,
clean.
where is this friend that you're traveling
It's
the
like,
world
Mara,
with?
this friend,
Uh,
Mara, it's giving
Okay.
suspicious.
Okay.
so
Yes,
she came clean and she told her parents about it. But this was actually our first like a formal introduction
yeah.
Okay.
So he had to write
to
a
her parents. Where
letter.
I wrote a whole letter to her father, uh, and
But
you know,
but this is practice in Canada, right? Where you have to tell the father of the bride and ask for
I
her
mean,
hand.
it's traditional. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
it's
more
tradition.
for our culture because his culture was a little bit different.
Oh,
But
okay.
now her father was like, you need to, honor our culture, and this is how we do things, and especially the things that their pastors and of course a lot of people look up to them,
Okay.
and so things needed to be done in the proper ways. And she had never ever told me about this Lobola,
I never
and
did.
she was afraid,
Culture
because
shock?
it's here's
No,
the
yeah,
thing.
I was afraid of
Here's the
culture
thing. In
shock.
our culture, it's the
The
exact
other way around.
opposite of Lobola. So the prize or
The
whatever you
lobola
want to
goes
call
to
it,
the guy
it goes
in
the other
his
Haibo.
way.
culture.
Exactly.
Haibo.
So this is
Yeah.
where it gets a little bit complicated,
Did she
right?
also have to give?
No, not really, because our family is not so demanding or like cultural like
We
that.
found
Let's
a
say.
way around it. Let's just
Yeah,
say
we found a way
that.
around it, but
Yeah.
for
Now,
me,
I
it
asked a
wasn't really
question
important.
earlier on,
Oh,
and I
sorry.
think that
Yes.
question is running away from us.
Hmm.
Are you married in purpose or are you married for love? Because right now we hear a lot of people saying, get married for purpose. Love sometimes gets stale. I don't know if it's true.
I think that we fall in love. We got married because we love each other, and then through that we found
Purpose.
our purpose.
Wow.
It's
And for
very true.
us, it's good because remember, I prayed for this for 15 years.
Yeah.
So it was redirected. God directed our paths to come together.
Okay.
I think we're blessed to have both purpose and love in our relationship. I want to bring up this verse.
Mm.
This is our verse,
Mhm.
and this is
I was so impressed when you said we have our verse.
our
Yes.
marriage is all about. I think this is from Proverbs 19:21.
Hmm.
Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that
Yes.
prevails. All of us can have different ideas, different dreams, and so many things, and we think that we can take control of our lives and do, put our lives in our direction.
Hmm.
But our marriage proved that it's the Lord's purpose that will always prevail,
Mm.
always, because you plan your life, you go through so many things, and you go through failures, and you think, okay, why not me? Or like, you slip into whatever it may be, a lot of setbacks and things like this. But when it really happens, and it happened to us in both of our lives after we got married, we realized it's like all along it was each other.
Wow.
We're friends for so long, and then we realized we were just beside each other all of these years, and then we
Wow.
Yeah.
realized it's like, okay, you know what? It's God's purpose.
Wow, you guys.
Yes.
This is Mapindi says, but good days from you and lovely couple.
Thank
Wish
you.
you all of the best.
Thank
Yeah,
you
and
so
she put
much.
some hearts in there. Philip Mashilo says there is a real divine destiny encounter relationship. Do you know him? You know him? Oh,
Um,
I thought you knew him the way you did that. I was like,
no,
oh, it's
we want
Philip.
to see
Baby,
the
it's Philip. Right.
I
He
just
says there is a real divine destiny encounter relationship. The scripture God gives you the desires of your heart manifested in her life through relentless prayer. Many of us, we give up too soon before our dream comes to pass. So, has your dream come to pass?
our dream in terms of our age. Yes.
And you,
And
Dabasias?
I think we're living it.
we're
So,
living the
No,
dream.
yeah.
you're living the dream.
Yes.
But now, what I understand about your union is that
Mhm.
he's still on the ship, he still works in the ship,
Yes.
and he travels the world. And you're in South Africa, you started your own business, Car Spa here.
Yeah.
How does that work out? in terms of purpose and all.
So for
Do
all,
you think, let me
yeah,
ask this question.
okay.
When you were praying since you were 15 and all your cousins got married and you were not married, do you think it was preparing you for a long,
Yeah, I
long
mean,
distance.
I
yeah,
had to be ready, I had to be ready, and not everybody can do this. This is one thing we always say. Most people who actually find each other or on the ships, they do not last. Most
sure.
relationships do not last because, your schedules get changed, you go to
You
other
get
ships.
separated. You get put on different ships on different contracts. So you end up being in two different places and being consumed with work. So in our situation, one of us is land based, like you just mentioned,
Yeah.
and I go on and off the ships, and our contracts got shorter and shorter over time, so it makes it easier. We used to
Okay.
do 8 months,
Well,
then
Yeah.
it became
The longest
6.
time we haven't seen each other was during lockdown. I was supposed to go see him, and then literally when I was about to join the ship, it was 2020, and they closed
Everything
the
got
borders, they
closed.
closed everything. But I was so happy because remember that was just after our Singapore trip that he had to start with the Lobola process. So that kind of secured me to say, okay, this man is mine. He'll come back for me. Surely he'll come back for me.
Mm.
And this man
that
helped
was God.
me. It
That,
was
that
God.
was God.
He
He
blew
knew
my
your heart.
mind. Like
No,
when
he
I
knew your
say
heart.
that my husband is the one for me, because during after that lockdown period,
Mm,
and we're still in lockdown,
mm.
but they were not allowing people to come to South Africa. But my husband, after a year, he was like, "No, don't worry,
So
I'm
you
coming.
wait, you
I'm
stayed
coming
for
to
a
see
whole
you
year without seeing each other.
without
Eight
seeing each
months.
A
other.
full,
Yeah.
A
It
full year.
was a yeah 8 month contract, and then yeah,
No, because of lockdown,
mm,
we ended up seeing each other around November.
yes, that's true.
He had to come. That was the first time he actually met
so
my
you were
parents.
talking facing and all that.
Yeah, social media. There's ways. There is
Mm.
ways.
We were
But he
talking
was
regularly.
taking care of me, so I didn't cry a lot. I mean, I didn't cry a lot. Every
Mhm.
month I would see the zeros, zeros. So
Oh
I was
my.
like, okay, okay, I'll cry nicely.
It's not easy. The long distance is not easy, but I think because of our connection and our strong connection, our strong relationship, it makes it easier.
Yeah,
Of
but
course,
when they say you will go to the ends of the earth to make you feel my love, that's the moment when I knew that you did that for me. Because he came through lockdown and he broke all the rules. They were like, you can't come in the country, you need
it's like
this and
I'm
this.
going.
And he's like, listen, I am going. Even in
My
Canada,
wife is there.
they were like, oh, sir, we don't advise you to travel during this time. You're going to be sent back. He took the risk. He's like, no problem. I'd rather go. If they send me back, I'll go back. He took the risk in 2020 to come and see me. And that's when I knew this man will do anything
So
for
you
me.
were quarantined for a certain period before you could see
What
her.
happened? He
I
was not
was
even quarantined.
quarantined.
Were
I
you?
actually went home, and I
Uh-huh.
had to do a 14-day quarantine. And I
In
think,
Canada.
yeah, and I think I left or I flew within the 14 days. I went straight to the airport.
He took
I
a risk.
left, transit through London, had to
Yeah.
do a COVID test in London. It was, yeah,
He took a
um,
risk to
Sure.
come and see
everything
me.
was changing, throughout that year. When COVID was just, it was developing, you could say, all the rules were changing like
Uh-huh.
every hour of the
Uh-huh.
day.
Uh-huh.
Every country was changing their protocols and their rules, but I was like, let's go, let's
So
go.
But for me, I was happy because I was praying, God, I cannot lose hope. And
yeah.
that's his answer.
And what about now when he's not at home for how many months now?
Now
Now
it's
Four
it's
months?
down to
three months.
three.
Three
It's
Oh,
down
months.
to
not even
three,
four.
yeah,
Yeah.
3 to 4 months.
It is bad, but
But
it's not that
now,
bad.
no,
She
it's not
she
that
gets
bad.
to travel with me
I
on the
get to
ship.
travel.
Mm.
Every now and again, I go on the ship. I get to
So
travel.
when
So I
you're
enjoy it.
away, who runs the business?
Well, with my business, I had a whole system. I
Okay.
don't run my business like I'm the star of the show.
It runs
It
itself.
runs itself. It
Okay.
always had. So that's the best thing I did for me because I knew I was not going to be there for a couple of months.
Hmm.
So I'd go there for a couple of weeks, see him. But yeah, when he first met my parents in November, when he came back, that's when I realized, okay, this is real. This is real. And for me, long distance is not a problem because my parents are in a long distance marriage. My mother works in Pumalanga, my dad works here. They see each other every weekend. But it was normal. It's like I programmed it. God was preparing me with their marriage that, okay, you are also
Yeah.
going to be in a long distance. So it's not for everyone.
It takes some work. We make it sound
It
easy.
takes praying from
Hmm.
15
We make it
years
sound
to
easy,
pass
but
years.
it takes some work. I need to precisely communicate with her which country, which time zone our calls are going to be, because I have to be the one to stay on top of the
All right.
schedules.
He's good with communication.
Let's close it by encouraging couples that are starting out, those that are just got married and they're in long distance and all that. What do we say to them? The ones
I
who are
have
still
the
going to get married,
I have the
preparing.
best advice that we got during our marriage counseling,
Uh,
and it is that we tend to look for everything in each other when you're in a relationship. You tend to look for all your needs, all your desires and everything, but your actually first priority needs to be God.
Hmm.
And even as a woman or a man, your first focus and your first priority needs to be God.
mm,
And you get everything from Him, from Jesus. That's where the first provisions come from, and then it's your wife or your husband. I think that's the best advice that we got.
otherwise, there's no surviving without.
There isn't, and that really really helped us to do the counseling that time, and I think that's the best advice that I took away from it,
Hmm.
and that I can share with everyone else.
Wow.
Also, the other thing I would say is that, you know what, you need to work on yourself, because sometimes people are so dependent in relationship they forget their dreams. For me, it has given me the opportunity to go after things that I want. Like the time that I have, I look at it like, okay, I need to achieve this before my husband comes. So that's how I always look at it. Every 3 months, I need to achieve something so that when he comes, I can, see my progress. But yeah, you need to focus on yourself, because people are so needy and too dependent on their partners, and that's why you see that when, like, God forbid, like when people lose their partners, they lose themselves, because now who are you without your partner? But with us together, we are unstoppable,
Mhm.
you know. So my advice to young people will say, put God first in your relationship. Put God first, and always make sure that you communicate and work on yourself, because the more you work on yourself, the more your relationship benefits. Because I believe that we were blessed as a couple. We achieved a lot of things together than before we were together. So it's just God, like involve God.
So you guys escaped Umjolo, ne? You didn't go
We
long
had six
dating.
months of Umjolo's dating, by the way.
Dating.
Oh,
We had 6 months of dating. It was Thailand, and then
Nah.
basically we started the
You were
process of
actually you were
dating.
actually preparing for marriage
But it's
from
so
the
funny
onset.
because,
Yeah.
with him,
Yeah.
he always tells people, "Oh, we're engaged," but because I'm Lobola, I'm like, "No, he's my
we
husband."
had the whole Ebola celebration and
So
everything.
it was always confusing because
Mm.
I'm like, "No,
Yes,
he's
because you're
my husband."
culturally
Yeah,
married.
Yeah,
Yes.
culture
and
shock.
for us it was an engagement, but I gave her a wedding in Bali,
She
Indonesia.
gave me the
Yes.
best wedding a girl could dream of, and that's when I was like, that is why it had to take
You
so
had
long.
so many weddings.
Yeah, we had so many. We had two weddings, right? The first one was like the traditional one for my
Yes, with
family
the lobola
with the
and
lobola,
and
but
and
for
and
him it was more like an engagement, and then after that he did the dream engagement in
The white
Eastern Cape.
wedding. We flew in our
wait,
pastors
wait. So were
naturally.
you blessed after the traditional? Did you sign? Did you have a marriage certificate?
No, I think the
We didn't
last
sign
the
after
last
lobola.
Bali wedding. The Bali
We
wedding was
signed last
the
year. Last year was our Bali wedding, so that's
Mhm.
when we officially, because we didn't want to do anything without, because the families are not in the same country, so
Yes.
we wanted to make sure everybody's together and our families meet
we
and
flew in
everybody's.
we flew in our pastors from Canada to officiate the wedding,
Wow.
Yeah,
and
we
it was
flew
it
in
was lovely.
like my whole family was there, my grandparents was there. That was the best wedding of my life, and I can
Wow.
say if it can happen to me,
It can happen to
definitely
you.
can happen to you.
Yes, yes. Wow, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I wish to ask more questions. Where is you going to Canada now? Are you going to stay at Canada? Because you prayed about it. But
Yeah,
hey,
no,
no, we
eventually
have
it
to
will
stop here.
happen.
So if we would
Yes.
like to follow you guys and talk to you, And think about that consultancy. Think about that
Well,
consulting.
at the
What if you'd
moment,
like
I'm
to?
focusing more on business
Mhm.
coaching for people who are struggling with business. Like, reach out to me on my social media. And for us as a couple, you
Yeah,
can find us
and
at
find us on
Love
Instagram.
JP.
Yeah, we're on Love
Yeah,
JP's Love underscore is it?
love_JPS.
Uh-huh.
That's where you will find us
And
on
TikTok.
TikTok and Instagram.
All
Yeah, and
right.
then on my personal one is at her boss babe.
Uh-huh.
We're still trying to find a way to come onto YouTube, but yeah, we'll get there, guys. People will say, get on YouTube. We'll get there.
All right. All of God's best as you're moving forward. If I don't get to see you back here in studio again, Dabasias, this month, go with the Lord and all of the best for your next three
Thank you
months.
very much.
Yeah, and all of
Been a
the
pleasure.
best.
Thank you so much for
May
the opportunity.
Yeah, may the Lord keep keeping you guys. You're such a blessing. May God bless everything that you do.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for also being a great role models for those that are coming up. They're like, oh, okay, so we can do it this way. So thank you so, so much. May God keep keeping you. And family, yeah, I'm hoping, I don't know, but